Good morning. This is day 84 of making videos that describe a day or thought in the life of me as a schizophrenic Dominic. I do not believe I am crazy, but I do believe I experience schizophrenia. I've been diagnosed with schizoid affective disorder, which is essentially schizophrenia, and I'm treated like a paranoid schizophrenic. Uh, in day 17, day 45 of these videos, I explain why I make these videos and why I choose to call myself schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. And I have my book posted to the pinned posts of Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and I don't really post on Blue Sky or Threads. And my book is posted to the topic section of these videos. I make these videos to provide some sort of documentation of my life as a schizophrenic or thoughts in the day of a schizophrenic, and to describe synchronicities and perhaps synchronicities through time and things of that nature, perhaps even time travel or something like that. And I do it to express some amount of sanity, to say that these are some sane thoughts of me as a human being. Okay, so today I was going to get into, I took a trip up north with my aunt and uncle. It was really nice. Yeah, we had a nice time. I stayed at the Cavalier Oceanfront Resort, is what it was called. I said Cavalier Inn last time, but it's Cavalier Oceanfront Resort. It's a very nice place. If you go in the off season, it's a little cheaper than in the on season. And so we had a good time, and it was really beautiful, and the coast there is just incredible. Anyways, we passed through San Luis Obispo, and we saw a protest, a public lands protest that I didn't really know about, and then I became aware of it after googling it, and it looked like an interesting protest, and it looked like something that I could potentially do as a schizophrenic. People were just kind of protesting on the streets. It wasn't challenging. Uh, it's challenging a fascist, but it's not at his headquarters where he can send in thugs or something like that. So it seemed like something that was doable for me, and uh, given as I said in earlier posts about my family's concern about participating in protests because it really affected our lives greatly, and that's why I have the schizophrenia. And so, but I think I could go to a protest for a public lands protest, and it looked interesting. People were protesting, and I looked up a group on Instagram, and they're called Resistance Rangers. So I'm following that group, and I'm gonna see if there's any more protests that happen in the upcoming months, and maybe I'll head to one and get back into protesting against this government or whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And so Resistance Rangers, if you look them up, you can see they're doing some protests about public lands and the government pulling funding and revoking rights to public lands and stuff. All right, in my Olojuwon book, I'm going to move on to another topic. In my Olojuwon book, it reminded me of our delicate situation we are in today in this country, because Olojuwon was discussing how Olojuwon was discussing how, or not Olojuwon, but the author was discussing how in Olajuwon's country in Nigeria that there was a coup in the 60s and 70s, a couple coups, and they led to a protracted civil war in the country, and million people plus died, thousands a day were perishing in the civil war. And it reminded me of the precarious situation we're in this country, where you have a situation where it seems like the people in power are goading people into starting riots, potentially maybe even a coup, things of those natures. Like they're goading, but you don't know what it's an unstable situation, so any sort of thing like that can happen. And once that happens, then you potentially provoke a civil war. And it's almost like they're trying to provoke a civil war while they're in power. Uh, so it makes me scared to think about, like, well, it's a very delicate situation that we are in. You want to go to protest, you want to support some sort of backlash. Do you use the term revolution? I'm going to talk about Derrick Jensen's thoughts on that in another minute. But I don't know what you do when the government is basically we've witnessed sort of a coup already with Trump. You taking the executive branch and making it all powerful. And I think I just read on an NBC article talking about how Mike Johnson wants to do away with the power of the federal courts. And so I guess we're already in a coup. And so I was just reading in the book about Nigeria and how their coups led to a civil war which killed 1 million people. And I don't want to be living in that kind of situation. And I feel like we're slow moving into this like destabilized situation. And Trump was kind of a clown for so many years that you're just is this real? Is he just clowning around again, or So it's like you don't know what. And then I have with the schizophrenia where I've talked about wars around the world being fake around the world and stuff. So then I started thinking, like, man, is this like a real situation we're in, or is this like a dis a demolition of America for some sort of 2.0 that's going to come forward? Is this part of the breakaway civilization? I don't know. I don't know what's going. I can't say that I know, but it is not normal what Trump is doing. So I think a grocery guy talked to me and my dad about like shredders showing up to the uh, Social Security office, and he said this was not normal what was going on. And the guy was right. It's not normal what's going on. So the question is, what exactly is going on? And I can't say I know. I'm like I say in my book. I'm just Plato in the cave, making sense of the shadows on the wall as they're presented to me. And yeah. All right. In my other book called "We Are Electric" by Sally Adi, she's talking about how Cybernetics was a company that was into brain-machine interface. So the idea of controlling the brain and brain control of machines, and it was run out of business because it did not pass the muster for uh, FDA approval. And he was saying it was basically a vendetta. Why that happened? It was a guy, according to Sally Adi, that was upset that somebody else got press coverage in the New York Times and that this guy didn't get press coverage. So he was a vendetta, and he said, I'm going to axe your company. I'm not going to give you FDA approval. And I don't know if I buy that. This seems like to be really significant technology that if it went public, would be, went public or got FDA approval and came on the commercial scene like that, that it would really jeopardize a secret classified area of operations. And so, yeah. So I'm not sure I buy that there was a vendetta. I'm thinking it was maybe a little bit more to the story, but that's my thought process on it. Reading the book. All right. So in any event, cybernetics, brain control interface, in relation to my schizophrenia program, I tell you that I experience brain control interface or uh, messing around with my brain, and so mind control, brain control, all that, and everything. And I was thinking that important things have surrounded me regarding the schizophrenia program, and this gets into another reason why I make these videos. And I would be doing a disservice to me and to society and to people in general if I just sat in silence and did not say anything with regards to what has transpired with me when the schizophrenia. And if I did talk about targeted individual program or schizophrenia, I would be doing a disservice by sitting in silence about it and not using my brain to use my analytical capabilities and express myself during that time and to talk about the things that have happened surrounding me, like earthquake weapons, weather warfare, brain computer interface, mind control, brain control, psychological operations, fake wars, Big Brother, all that, just fascism, gang stalkers, car accidents. It's all important things. It's related to democracy itself, and and so I definitely think that I'm doing the right thing by talking out loud about it. And now I'm making these videos, and it turned out that these were good in my opinion. Okay, in my book on War at the Speed of Light about directed energy weapons and uh, EMP attacks, it talks about how nuclear weapons, when they were testing nuclear weapons in New Mexico and all those places in the 1940s, and one of the things they would do is they would realize they would create EMP pulse, electromagnetic pulses, and uh, one of the things that emanates out of these nuclear bomb testings, is an aurora borealis, like a artificial borealis, and it's like the light, the pretty lights and stuff. And people used to be mesmerized by these things, and they thought it was so beautiful in Hawaii and stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like something like the beauty of coming out of a nuclear test, the ugliness of the nuclear test, the ugliness of humanity, of the weapon, of the destruction, of all that energy built up, but it's a beautiful effect. And it made me think about, like, does this mean that there's like you could take away from it, like, like beauty can combat, beauty is there at the moment ugliness happens to combat the ugliness. Or you could look at it as like maybe even the Gnostic idea, where like we live in such a crazy reality that it's indicative of the type of reality we live in, that beauty emanates out of something destructive and disgusting as a nuclear bomb. And so, yeah, you could look at it like the Gnostic, or you could look at it from another Gnostic point of view, of like, uh, this reality is such that beauty comes in to combat, like I said before, beauty comes in to combat the ugliness of the nuclear weapons. That like there was a beauty at that moment that said, that tried to tune people's attention to some other mentation besides the destruction and the terror. And so, yeah. All right. Speaking of terror, Derrick Jensen, in this book, A Language Older Than Words, I have it right here, so that's why I show it. He discusses different types of revolutions. You have revolutions of the heart, like Jesus. You have revolutions of uh, social upheaval, like Bolshevik or American Revolution of 1776. And he discusses that they all kind of failed to create an egalitarian, non-hierarchical revolt, revolution, and there was a similar repression that developed after each. And so, yeah, uh, thinking about like where we're headed right now, you could have a revolution in this country, and you don't know, is it, I mean, we're headed there. It's going to happen to some one way or the other. The question is, what's going to come of it, what type of revolution is it going to be, and what are we going to end up with as a society afterwards. And all right, I have to stop here, but thank you for listening to me today, and a little bit eclectic. Okay.